what are Michelle's fears, insecurities. Once we have that, then we'll build an episode around that.
In the day and age of phony stunts and reaction videos, Michelle, Khare, and her team are bringing true storytelling to YouTube by flipping her greatest fears into creative inspiration for her series Challenge Accepted.
They had a safety briefing with us and said, if you mess up, you might die.
And footage from the episodes is almost unbelievable.
The audience is constantly saying, really? Really? So we have to say yes, and it's even bigger than you thought it would be.
But these aren't just elaborate stunts and big explosions. These are stories that are deeply personal.
Anyone can make a video where they train like a boxer, but what makes it unique to the Michelle Khare channel is it is my own experience.
We need to find out, all right, where is that conflict going to be?
Michelle's here with her husband and creative partner, Garrett Kennel, and they're taking me under the hood on storytelling.
When you see where this is going to go, it makes you care about me learning the basics.
Their post-production process.
Our first draft of an episode will never include voiceover.
And how they navigate filming with organizations like the Secret Service.
We literally turned the red lights off.
Yeah,
of
we have them off on
that,
So,
I'm here.
Thermal cover's closed.
I feel like every few years there's like a creator or a creator team that elevates YouTube as a platform. Dare I say that?
Oh my God.
But like, no, do you know what I mean? Like Casey did that, like 8 years ago. And everybody's like, oh, you can do this on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like you guys have done that. You've been like, no, actually, you can do this on YouTube.
Wow,
and
thank you.
It's really cool to see people break out of that box and do something. And I want to see if we can get to the bottom of like, what is it that you're doing that's so different? And how is your approach so different than everybody else's?
Let's do it.
Cool, here we go.
Who doesn't love a good secret? A small secret, a big secret, a top secret.
Okay, can you kind of walk us through how you think about the introduction? A lot of people do cold opens. Your cold opens feel a little bit different. How do you think about the first couple seconds or minutes of a video and a story that you're telling?
Well, my first concern with doing a video about the Secret Service was the global reach and accessibility to that. And will
'Cause it's
somebody
so American.
so US centric? And so our idea was, well, what could we get people to sort of sink their teeth into? And we went with the basic human desire to of secrecy and secrets. And like the second you know that there's something that you don't know, you want to know it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we try to trip them up on that at the beginning.
When does that come to you? Because throughout the filming, you're turning to people saying, what is the secret? That becomes like a theme throughout the whole video, which is kind of a reason to keep watching. Do you like come up with themes before you actually start production that you know you're going to play into throughout the video? When does something, what does pre-production look like for you guys?
Well, in that specific case of, what's the secret, having that be the runner, that was actually something I just came up with on site. We almost were going to do it for a short form piece of content and then decided to integrate it into the long form as a B plot. But I just thought it'd be funny to ask.
A B plot. What's a B plot?
So we have the A plot, which is Michelle goes to Secret Service Academy and she attempts to join the ranks of other Secret Service members. And the B plot is sort of the concept of what's the secret was sort of like a reason to watch the whole video. In each scene, each activity I take on, you're seeing secrets of the Secret Service uncovered.
Do you write a script before you film? What is the actual pre-production process like?
It sort of starts with talking about what are Michelle's fears, insecurities, and then we'll build an episode around that sort of allows your character arc to conquer that fear. So if her insecurity is confidence in front of a large group of people, it could be the runway episode.
I am 5'2" and I am supposed to walk one of the biggest runway shows in the world.
If your fear is being lost in space, that's
Yeah,
like your crazy
I don't like outer space.
irrational
I hate
fear.
outer space.
So we'll go to NASA and train with astronauts to sort of overcome that.
I am terrified of outer space. The thought of being strapped into a rocket and being launched into a dark abyss, absolute no.
So once we have that, then we start writing loosely writing what we think the arc might be. Now, because we're doing documentary, we can't script every scene. We don't actually know what's going to happen. We don't know what scene might trigger a, very visceral, emotional reaction for Michelle.
You're inside saying, I can't do it. You have to dig deep, and you pull through.
Yeah, but I didn't save him.
And so oftentimes we'll sort of plan out like, all right, if the video goes this way, or this way, are they all satisfying? That was a big discussion with the boxing episode. In that episode, you were worried at one point what if you don't win the fight at the end? And so, we try to map a trajectory. If you win the fight, will that be satisfying? If you lose the fight, will that still be satisfying? And, as we've learned
So you guys are like really playing the chess.
Yeah.
we try to, because, we don't want to, some of these videos take upwards of a year to produce. And we don't want that to, we
This
can't.
one was a year.
Secret Service?
From our
for
initial contact with the Secret Service organization to filming to upload was 11 months. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, so how many shoot days did the Secret Service video take? And then how many shoot days on average do these productions take?
So we have like 2 different kinds of sub formats within Challenge Accepted. One is the academy style, such as Secret Service, and those are videos we typically shoot in anywhere from 3 to 5 days. So that would be Secret Service Academy, FBI Academy, Police Academy. Then we have longer form training videos, such as I train like an Olympic boxer, I tried to become a runway model at 5'2", training like a figure skater for 60 days. Academy is typically taking a profession and inserting myself into a piece of the training of it, versus the longer form training videos are ones that are typically surrounding a sport. So like you can't learn boxing in a week and then go in a ring. I'm sure somebody's done it, but I wouldn't recommend it. The longer form training videos are ones that require a before and after. So like we want to see big progression over time with a payoff.
So Secret Service, I think, was a 4-day shoot, beginning to end. Something like the boxing episode, I believe, clocked in at like 25, 26 shoot days over the course of a year. Now, you were training 5 days, 4 to 5 days a week, sometimes 6. So we didn't film all the training, but if you
We're pretty
add up,
strategic
if you add up all the shoot days, like we know sort of like, okay, well, you're gonna hit your Dark Night of the Soul around this time, like right before your first, we know.
So brutal. It's brutal.
Yeah,
It's
very
week
meticulous.
3. It's always week 3.
But-
I'm like,
but
I can't do this.
You've done enough of these training videos where you know when your body's
I
gonna start to
literally
break.
know, and it drives me crazy.
And we learned that's just a thing with professional athletes. Like there is a very standard trajectory that you sort of go through when you're hitting a new skill. And so we've kind of mapped out those milestones, and we're ready with a full doc team to shoot those milestones when they happen. And they almost always line up. So that saves us some money when we know like when to hire the team to come in.
When we watch you get knocked down in the boxing video for the first time, that's like a real moment that you go through.
Are you good? I'm sorry. Take a beat, take a beat.
Relax.
Give her a breath. I'm okay.
I know you are. Come here. Relax for 2 minutes.
How can you be on display like that? How does that work for you as a human? And like, is that like it feels such an intense thing to put yourself through for your work, for your art, and I'm curious on like how you handle that emotionally as a person.
Oh my gosh, what a big question. I think that anyone can make a video where they train like a boxer or even work, with some of these organizations. But what makes it unique to the Michelle Khare channel is it is my own experience. And so for it to truly be a video that only I can make or that our team can make, each person on our team injects a part of themselves into it. I am a very emotionally open person. And I think also when we started making these videos, the majority of the comments would be about the emotional part of the video or, wow, the way Michelle said this very personal thing, that is exactly how I felt.
I myself had a really high-speed crash, and I lost all the skin on my arm. Once I stopped, I haven't ridden since.
Oh, wow. When was the last time you've ridden? Oh, man, I'm so sorry. Oh, my God.
Oh, I didn't think it would.
Oh, my God. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I feel that those moments of vulnerability are the moments that actually put you in connection with the audience the most. And I don't think every episode requires that by any means. Secret Service is very fun and upbeat the whole time, but we made sure to include my personality throughout, and that's something that I want to also because it makes our stamp on the platform a fingerprint rather than just another video.
100%. It's deeply personal. It's not copy-pastable. It is 100% you and the team, and you can tell people are putting themselves fully into the work.
Yeah, I mean, it's wonderful having, when I'm going through these experiences, having my partner there for all of them, between takes to be that support for me. And also, I trust him to get the shot. So that's
But
great.
it creates situations. The boxing video was hard.
Yeah.
I had
You had a panic attack.
I had a panic attack on round 2. I was ringside filming, and I had never.
I told you not to. I was like, he's like, I'm gonna film the fight. I was like, no, you're not. No, you're not.
Yeah, it was pretty cool though. Usually these are very controlled situations. If you're pepper sprayed, it sucks to watch you get pepper sprayed, but I know the outcome is like you're gonna be fine tomorrow, right? Whereas with boxing, like there is this like fraction % of a chance that like some weird hit in the wrong way could lead to something that I don't know the outcome of. And there are moments that are very difficult for me to be like, all right, I'm filming you like crying hysterically in pain, and I'm just standing here filming you, and it feels really bad at first not to drop the camera and run in and try to console or help or assist. But I also know at the end of the day, you know how much impact the video might have at the end, and you like I know that you're thinking me getting the shot is helping you in that moment more than me dropping the camera and consoling you. Like,
Well, with pepper spray, there's not much you can do. So.
Sure. But like me being like a partner in that situation
Yeah.
is capturing the moment so that you have that documented and it could potentially lead to impact in someone else's life.
Awesome. Let's keep going.
I never received a single response. Leaving me no other choice, I had to...
Okay, I have a question about these like B-roll shots. Do you film these afterwards? Because you're like, we need to show Michelle writing an email. Let's get that shot. Or is it like you're filming for 9 months and you have 200 hours of footage?
Sometimes we actually capture things when they happen, or if like a crazy phone call happens, we have a camera and we just start rolling. Sometimes we do pickups.
Yeah, I would say
These were pickups.
These two were these were
embarrassing.
pickups.
Michelle pacing on the phone outside.
Yeah, like
Talking to no one.
Actually, I think you were
I've done that too, so I know.
I
It's
think-
okay. It's nothing to be ashamed about.
we're such a sham.
No. I think you were talking to one of the other producers or something, and so yeah, we just.
Oh, I
used
was
that as a
actually
pickup.
working.
Yeah, you
and
were
you just
working.
filmed
Yeah.
me working.
Yeah, those two were pickups or unrelated to that.
Yeah.
But oftentimes we do have a lot of phone calls that we do are just filming during the process. The boxing video, every
all
one of those
those
phone
phone calls are
calls
real.
were the real phone calls.
I've had a few very promising calls. There are a couple different organizations that are interested.
Hey, we got an offer from Misfits. I just want to check with you before we take it.
When we were making the Secret Service episode, we didn't know how much of the story of the making of the episode we were going to include in the episode.
Or that we would be allowed to include. I mean,
Yeah.
we're dealing with the U.S. government here, so.
But after pitching the episode to enough people, their biggest question was, how did you make this episode happen?
That's
And
the first thing everyone
And when we kept
asked.
hearing that, we knew, okay, so the making of is an important story point that people are going to be engaged with. So we made sure to dedicate some story time to that in the episode.
Some filmmakers have sort of like a dogmatic principles approach to shot creation and storytelling, which is like, you know, there's like the whole like Dogma 95 thing, where it's like, if it's not on set, you can't use it, you know, only on location sound, no props, you know, that sort of thing. I'm just wondering, like, where are you on that spectrum? Like, will you redo a take if it didn't go the way you want it to do? Obviously, if it's the boxing fight, you can't do a boxing fight
Right.
over. But like, where are you in terms of like, oh, let's redo that line. Can we do a pickup? Can we get this shot? How do you think about that sort of stuff?
I would say for the performance-based moments, let's say the boxing fight, the final challenge in Secret Service, the final performance in your cheer episode, those moments for me, we will lean more, you know, Dogma 95, the Secret Service final challenge finale, that was done in one real take. Let's cover Michelle, get the first authentic performance, because we're not going to redo that.
How many cameras?
2 cameras
Two.
for that
Two.
finale.
For that whole scene with the barricade and
Yeah.
the shooting
Those 2
and
cameras,
just 2
yeah.
cameras.
Sir, get down! Please get down!
The second take was our pickup take, and that was to focus on action that was non-Michelle related. So that might be crowd interactions or cutaways, you know, our surroundings, the environmental stuff. But we always want to make sure that we capture Michelle's true, authentic performance on the first take. And
Because that first take is so special because you see the real reaction of, I'm seeing something explode. For like, you can't act that, I feel. You got to see it for real the first time, so.
And why 2 cameras? Why not 4 and do it once?
for us, we
Yeah.
like keeping a small footprint.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier for us to convince these people to work with them. If we're a very small, lean team, we can also move faster.
But another reason we do that too is we find that if we have a smaller crew, people forget we're there. And the
Yeah,
people
way
who
more
aren't
naturally.
used to being on camera feel way more comfortable, and they're going to give us their honest, genuine personality versus like if there are a ton of lights and cameras and crew, people close up.
100%. I call that red light syndrome. It's like you're one way, and then when it's like, okay, are we ready to record? Okay, let's record. And then you press record, and then people see the red light. It's like, you just killed the vibe.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, we literally turn the red lights off
Yeah,
of
we
our
we have them
cameras
off
so
on
that,
cameras.
got them here.
we do a lot of
We literally disable them so that talent doesn't feel, yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's keep going.
I had to play my trump card, my ace in the hole, my secret weapon, the FBI.
Okay, sorry, I can't help myself. This is what always happens. Okay, these voiceovers just sound beautiful. Are you doing the voiceovers? Do you have like a condenser mic and a little home studio setup? Like, is that all after the fact? One take through all the voiceover and post? How do you do the voiceovers?
After your video game episode that we did, you trying to train like a professional gamer, we basically had to build a streaming setup for that. And then from that point on, we're like, oh, there's our VO booth, essentially. Our first draft of an episode will never include voiceover. We try to tell the entire story without it.
Why?
I often think it's a crutch, but
especially on YouTube now, everyone is using voiceover. I feel like we'll go on shoots with other YouTubers and nobody's thinking about story and how it's going to come together. So we try to get it all on location. And voiceover also, I think, just disconnects you from the person. It's like
it's like
a break
us
in that humanity.
after the fact, sort of deciding and molding it almost a little too much to how we want the audience to feel. And so if we can get it genuinely in the moment, we would always prefer that. That's not always the case, or the story is so complex, convoluted, or too long in our reality footage that it is better story to just condense it with voiceover.
To me, it's like, trying to get it in camera versus VFXing it later. This is the audio version of that. Like when you rely on voiceover, it's like kind of like audio VFX in a way.
Okay, let's keep going.
I called up one of my contacts over at the old bureau from when we shot a video with them in 2019.
Okay, so like is this real? This is a real moment? Or is this... It's okay. Come on, give us the goods. Give us the goods. You're a good actress.
Yeah. This is not.
Okay.
But I did call the FBI.
This is actually what happened. Because after the phone call ended, we're like, oh my God, I wish we had that on camera.
Yeah.
So this is a pickup.
Right, like moments after the real thing happened, we shot this. But
I love that you guys are being so honest. Like, seriously, this is the stuff most creators I think don't want to talk about, but it's like the true, raw, like creative process. And thank you for like bringing it. Appreciate that.
For this video's final challenge, I will be put through the biggest...
Do you film everything at like 120, or were these shots you were like, we got to get some slow-mo of Michelle looking like a badass, putting on the earpiece, putting on the sunglasses?
This is slow-mo pickup, yeah.
Yeah, slow-mo pickups, just because we knew we needed to milk the moments right before the final challenge begun, just to amp that tension up. And so these were very intentional pickups to use for that purpose, which we also got to use in our coming up reality TV hook in the beginning.
Do you go to the location with an Excel spreadsheet of like, okay, we're going to need these categories of shots, these types of things? Or is it all creativity that happens on set? How much prep work before you go do you do?
Before we get on set with, someone like the Secret Service, we have had hours of pre-production calls. We have gone through a meticulous schedule. We've gone back and forth with them. They'll usually put together, here are all the activities we can do. They hand that to us. We say, okay, these are the top 10 that we think will be best for our visual medium.
Also, here's what we want to add that we didn't see here that like we feel are really important to do this idea justice.
Yeah, and then they look at that, they approve that, then we take it again and we buffer in, okay, you guys think this will take 2 hours. We think it's actually going to take 4 hours when we add in cameras and crew. And when we're going through that back and forth, we're adding in things like, well, we're going to need 20 minutes to set up for this interview. It's not just throw the cameras up. We're going to need 30 minutes before the final challenge starts for us to do the slow-mo pass. Before the final challenge, we did a 2-hour crew walkthrough of every phase of the final challenge. Blocking rehearsal, everything, without me, so that the crew was fully aware of all the secrets that would be happening. Prep for this was 6 months.
Wow.
And we kind of have like a mental shot list. I don't know if we like actually write things out really.
We don't.
Well, sometimes Kevin is like, he wants to get these specific things.
Yeah, we used to write it out, and then we've just done enough reps of these now that like I've been in the edit room enough times where I'm like, man, I wish we did that. We wish we did a slow-mo pass. That would be nice.
Yeah.
And so now we we know what we need to get now.
That reminds me of that frame I love for DPs. It's shooting like an editor.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of creators talk about if you learn to shoot like an editor, then you kind of don't need the shot list because you've been through that pain before of not having the shot you need, and the next time you're on set, you're like, oh, I'm gonna need the wide of the house right now. Yeah. Okay.
Training simulation we have ever done on this channel. Hundreds of live role players, real Secret Service agents, and even a mock-up of Air Force One. My mission? To keep a protectee safe from point A to point B through potential assassination attempts.
This shot kills
To ensure my success.
Why does that shot kill you?
Because it's just so ridiculous. Like the voiceover is just so dramatic, and then he shoots off a grenade. I mean, it's
we
crazy.
just wanted to continuously just break expectations. So by the time we're talking about like the Secret Service, now we're already a little jaded to like, all right, we get it. You got a deal somehow to work with these guys, but we're still not expecting like a man wielding an RPG shooting it out into the sky.
Because the audience is constantly saying at every moment of every video you watch on YouTube, really? Really? Like, that's the question that's going off in your head constantly. So we have to say yes, yes, and it's even bigger than you thought it would be.
So this is from the finale. Mm-hmm. But what we're watching right now is from the first minute of the video, second minute of the video. Mm-hmm. Tell us about what you're doing from a like storytelling standpoint. Are you giving us a preview of what's to come to answer the question really, just so that we know like the scale and scope of this without having to kind of do the full reveal? Why include shots of the finale at the beginning?
When you see where this is going to go, it makes you care about me learning the basics. If we started with, okay, day one at Secret Service Academy, you're going to learn how to, stop somebody from coming up on the barricade. Sure, like that might not be impressive to somebody, but when you see the context that it's going to be applied in, now you care about every moment that I'm learning everything.
Right. It gives us our why, like why are we watching her train? Because we want to see how she deals with this guy with the grenade launcher.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. There's one of my favorite concepts around retention actually has nothing to do with retention through videos, but has to do with like retention of a person using a product. Like Netflix or Spotify. And I remember talking with some of the product folks over there, and what they said was one of the main things for retention is future expected value. Mm-hmm. If somebody thinks something is going to happen that is valuable in a month or two, they're likely to remain a subscriber to Spotify. And what you're saying is kind of that with videos. Like,
it is, yeah.
There's like a future expected awesome action sequence. And if you keep watching, you're going to get to see this thing.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that because that's actually the tactic we used to get people to subscribe to the channel. For the 6 months prior to this video's upload, in a few of our episodes leading up, we said, subscribe to help us hit this milestone because when we do, we'll hopefully convince the Secret Service to work with us. So that was sort of like a way to try and incentivize joining the channel for a longer period of time.
So thoughtful. So much like detail that you guys put into this channel. It's amazing.
That is our job, to step in front of the president and to put ourselves in between the protected person and the threat.
If momentum takes it into you, that's the role, right?
Okay, so one question here. This feels like a bit of a longer lens. Are you shooting on zooms?
Yeah, these are two 24 to 105 zoom lenses. I think the idea camera is, not a part of the scene. It's just observing this thing that is happening. A little voyeuristic, but I think it makes it feel more like an authentic moment because cameras aren't being shoved in their faces. They aren't performing for a camera. This is a moment of this man teaching someone something he's passionate about. And we're just sort of flies on the wall watching that happen, and it feels real because of that.
And kind of like we were talking about earlier, it allows our team to be further away from the subjects and allows them to forget about the crew a bit more.
So cool.
Drive. There you go. Perfect. One more time, Dan.
Okay.
One thing I think you guys do really well is you show like your struggle. But it makes me like connect with you as a character. Like when you watch somebody struggle with something, you're rooting for them. Is that something that you guys are like architecting and thinking about ahead of time?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And we also, when we choose the activities, we tell them like, we want to see me struggle, like push me to the
Oh,
limit.
you like literally tell them that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I personally subscribe to like Snyder's Beats, and seeing the normal world is really important to me. Seeing Michelle as almost what the audience would go through if they were the ones trying this. We need Michelle to be at that relatable level. We sometimes have worked with partners where they're like, all right, so we're gonna have Michelle like rappel off the side of a building. How's that sound? And we're like, okay, that sounds cool. We did that in the SWAT Academy episode. If she were to do that again, she's no longer going to have the fear of doing that for the first time. Is there some way to make that scene now additive or change it? Because we cannot do that. Like, we know we cannot use that scene in the edit now. We're not just going to do them
or
for
they
the
don't
second time.
want to take me through the real thing. Like, there have been other organizations that come to us. They're very excited because they've seen these videos, and then they want to give me a watered-down experience.
Disney version of Secret Service Academy.
Right. And I'm like, no, because I think it does a major disservice to the real people who have gone through this. I mean, and that's truly what we're trying to honor here is all of the brave men and women who have done this, who have put their lives on the line. It's a very serious thing. The video is very funny, but we're trying to really honor their work. And to me, babying me or anybody through that process does the exact opposite.
Yeah, and so if we find ourselves in a situation where we're filming on set and you are sort of nailing it and you aren't having that struggle or conflict, I mean, story is conflict, and so if we don't have our conflict, we need to find out, all right, where is that conflict going to be? A good example, in my opinion, for this is our cheer episode when you try out for the University of Kentucky's cheer program.
10 days from today, I am going to try out for the University of Kentucky's actual cheer team. And in order to make the team, I'm gonna have to pass through 3 rounds of tryouts.
Now, you have a lot of natural ability in cheerleading. You were never a cheerleader, but like you have a lot of skills that lend itself well to that. And so we had to also try to find what are other things you can struggle with in this environment that aren't just physical cheerleading skill based. So one of those things for us was you entering this scary world, almost like a high school clique where everyone who's trying out are all friends. They know each other. They're all talking.
They're cheerleaders.
And maybe they're judging you silently for being on the side and being older than everyone else and not a part of their world.
This is like high school lunch where you have to pick a table, except everyone is a cheerleader and really, really cool.
That was something that you sort of struggled with. And so we spent more time in our episode telling that story because there was more conflict with that.
All right, let's keep going. The dog barking just ups the level of anxiety so much in this sequence.
A lot of sound design.
Okay, tell me about sound design. Because like the dog barking starts at the top under the slow-mo footage. Clearly you drag that dog barking in. The slow-mo stuff is MOS. So like how are you thinking about sound design? When do you put things in? What is sound design to you in the process?
Sound is a huge part of the videos, and we actually work with a professional sound designer and mixer. So once we picture lock an episode, it goes to them. And Garrett and I, we give a bunch of notes on ideas for things, but the person that we work with, Christina, they've done tons of movie trailers for like Marvel, like lots of very impressive work. And so she and her team have this deep, innate just knowledge of the craft of sound and add a bunch of things we would have never thought of anyways.
Yeah, amazing. All right.
Face away from Edison, get on the ground.
Stay right there.
Get down on the ground. Take your time. Don't have to be fast.
Cross your ankles.
Now we're going to make our movement in, all right? As you move in, Turner's going to come in and give you lethal.
So this is a simulation, but also there's a dog that can kill somebody 15 feet from you. How intense of an experience is it? Is it as intense as it ends up looking in the final?
Oh, yeah. Very intense. Anytime we do any of these videos, it's a very intense situation. Safety and insurance are a big deal on our shoots. Before I went into the burning building at Fire Academy for my final challenge, they had a safety briefing with us and said, if you mess up, you might die.
We have a medic unit on standby. Something goes bad, they'll grab you, get you out of your gear, and off to the hospital. The worst thing you can do is freak out. If you pull that mask off, about 2 breaths in the atmosphere we're going to be in, and it's over.
And that is part of the risk I was taking. No one else was in danger. But, these are very serious situations. We're working with extremely professional people. I've never felt actually
in
danger, I guess. But it's extremely heightened, and they tell you all the risks beforehand. And part of that is so that their trainees, and me in this case, take it very seriously for when it is the real thing.
Full coverage. Bend your knees. And Chris is going to cover downrange. Good job. Search area accessible.
Cuffed.
The music obviously is so cinematic. Yeah, where do you get music? How do you think about music?
We have a ton of different music libraries, but we recently started working with one that is used in a lot of television shows and films. And we found that that one in particular has helped us like elevate our music game beyond, what a lot of people classically hear on YouTube, because a lot of music is reused or everyone's using the same sites. But this site actually allows us to take lots of different versions. We can go down to the stems, pull out different instruments, pull out vocals, add vocals. So having that dynamic range plus Foley and sound design, I think, is what really makes that 360 sound experience.
Everything we just heard, you'll hear stems of a song layered in a specific way, and then we'll add our own extra, drum hits or cinematic hits to emphasize a moment, or we'll pull them out if we need it to be a softer moment. And so, we do an entire pass on all of our episodes that's specifically just fine-tuning music and taking tracks of the song out and adding them in, or changing them completely to, it's just another tool in our toolbox, just like sound design.
And what is that post-production process like? Are you sitting with your editor and sound designer at a laptop in a studio? What is the actual, so you go on location, you spend time with them, and how long is that? Are you in that room for 12 hours? Is it over a period of weeks? How long does that take?
An average episode of Challenge Accepted is anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks in post. That's 40 hours a week, someone working every single day on it. And our creative process, we're not super into put it on a website and leave notes online. When we're traveling, we do that, but we like to be in person and just be able to see all of the monitors and the bins and really get dirty and look at a timeline together and say, move it one frame this way, one frame that way.
And do you guys, how do you split up the time? So you've got so many projects. Each one of these videos takes months and months and months to pre-produce and produce. How are the projects layered and stacked, and what does a typical work week look like for both of you?
It's a balance, and we're working through that.
I think one of the best examples is when you were training for NASA, you were also at the same time training for ballet. And so you had a day where we drove out for like 2 hours away. She gets in a fighter jet. She flies upside down in a fighter jet. She lands. She throws up. And then an hour later, she has to drive to ballet class and do 2.5 hours of ballet.
But that's like kind of the metaphor for our schedule is we have to be very adept at shifting gears very quickly. Like we could be on set in the morning doing something and then in the afternoon giving notes on Foley. So I would say like right now we are probably 4 projects ahead in terms of our release schedule.
But we're maybe shooting 2 to 3 at the same time. 4 if we have like one long form that's going over the course of a year. That's just always in the background going.
Yeah.
Generally, we're training. We're working on 2 to 3 at once.
And what's next? How far ahead are you thinking? Are you thinking what happens over the next 2 years? Are you thinking about the next 4 videos? What's next for you both?
So I think like right now we're trying to increase output of long form. We recently expanded our team, and I feel so lucky because I feel like the team we have right now, it's like the Avengers. It's the Avengers of YouTube. I'm going to be totally honest. Like this is the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I'm so lucky. Like I get to be Hawkeye in the back watching everybody on the team do their thing. And so we're trying to first like just increase output, generally speaking. We also did like merch earlier this year. We have a fitness app. So like we've tried to like expand the business in those other ways, but the centerpiece is always going to be the content and how we can improve that.
And we don't feel like we can handle the creative and quality for more than 2 of these videos a month. I don't want to water these down because I think that's our competitive edge. I think that's why the channel is sort of unique and sticks out on YouTube.
I would say like we are so protective of the quality and the realness of the stories that we create, that every opportunity for scale that's been presented to us comes at the cost of losing that. So until we find a way to scale, which at this point for us is, it's slow. I mean, a lot of YouTubers, it's like grind, get a video out every day for a year. And then from there, once you have an influx of cash, slow down. For us, we've kind of had this gradual growth this whole time.
Like we just released an episode recently. I tried Butler Academy. That episode was shot a year ago. And like, it just took us that long to figure the story out in post. And we just would not release it until we figured out the story. So we just sat on it until we could figure it out. Maybe it's not the smart thing to do on YouTube, but that's
like I don't
what we
recommend
do.
that to any new creator. But I also feel that if we weren't doing that, and if we were just doing what many other people were doing, then we're just doing what everybody else is doing, and then we're not unique anymore.
That's such a good place to end. Thank you guys so much for coming and doing this.
Yeah.
So amazing to hear how you think about storytelling. And thanks for giving it like a really honest behind the scenes look at it.